Everybody, today we're talking about B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 8. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're reviewing B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 8. This collects 3 more volumes in the B.P.R.D. Hell on Earth series. Let's look in here, 10, 11, and 14. So we're talking about stories called The Devil's Wings, Broken Equation, Grind, Flesh and Stone, Exorcism, and The Exorcist. So remember how last volume, in Volume 7, I was talking about how this was like the world's most calmest apocalypse? This volume doesn't do that, which is nice. There's more drama to it, there's more suspense, there's more excitement, there's more action. Whereas last volume just kind of felt like we were going through the motions. This one, I actually had some tension and suspense when I was reading it, so I liked this one a whole lot better than I liked the 7th one. Specifically, the last 3 stories, Flesh and Stone, Exorcism, and The Exorcist, were all really phenomenal. We're finally getting back to the storylines of our new characters. Remember, we get back to the story of one of our agents who has that giant sword on his back with some weird memories from Paleolithic, it's not Numenorians, I forget what it's called. Hyperboreans, that's what they're called. And he's fighting people and saving, everybody. And meanwhile, the B.P.R.D. split up into teams, trying to kill some monsters, and he's killing them very good. That's fun. You also have like the finale of the girl in the bottle. She's like an evil spirit that's been bottled up by the Russian B.P.R.D. director guy, and that she's kind of let loose here. But we get more and more of this backstory that we've been like alluding to, or more threads that are following through from different volumes. So it's nice. It feels like everything is actually coming to a head. My only problem with it, again, as you just saw me stumble through that description there, is that I don't know the names of any of these new characters. I don't know if that's a me thing or if it's just a attachment to the characters that were in the Hellboy movies. You know what I mean? Like, I know Abe Sapien, I know Liz Sherman, I know Johan and Kate, and that's about it. Because they were in the movies, and they were in the Hellboy books in those volumes, the first couple that they were in. And these new characters, not really attached to, because they introduce so many of them, and some of them stick around, and some of them go by the wayside, or like the guy with the sword doesn't even fucking talk. So how am I supposed to remember his name? And they barely say his name half the time anyway when they're yelling at him. So I think that is the biggest thing that suffers with B.P.R.D. is that when they shift away from the core 4 characters from the first couple of volumes, it loses steam a little bit in terms of your attachment and suspense. You're still, not ingrained, but invested in the characters, but you don't have any attachment to them because you can't remember their names. For instance, the last 2 stories of this volume, Exorcism and The Exorcist, are phenomenal. Phenomenal. There's artwork in here by Cameron Stewart and Mike Norton. Phenomenal job. You can't even tell that it's 2 different artists from story to story unless you're really looking. That's fantastic. And just this story of this one B.P.R.D. agent who goes through something years ago and then now is like the unofficial exorcist of the B.P.R.D. and performs an exorcism on somebody, and at the end of this book is really, really cool. But it's not Kate, it's somebody else's name, it's some other blonde. And since you got these artists who, they do a good job, but like a lot of comic book artists don't tend to ingrain a lot of personality in faces, I guess. Like, most artists can draw 1 or 2, maybe 3 faces. And so unless you have a different hair color to differentiate big characters, or haircuts or clothing, it's hard to tell characters apart sometimes with artists. Then you have other people who are very good at faces. Look at Kevin Maguire, right? But even still, he kind of has his own style that everybody kind of looks the same sometimes. So it just depends, honestly. But I really did like this book. So if you've gotten all the way through Volume 7 and you're like, maybe you were like me and you're like, this isn't great, there's 3 volumes left, should I continue, should I finish, or you're getting from the library, whatever. Volume 8 picks up the pace a little bit, so I'm excited to read Volume 9 and then Volume 10, which is the Ragnarok story. And from there, I guess we'll have to figure out how that fits into Hellboy's tale, because Hellboy has his own death that we've already read and reviewed here on the channel. So I'll try and figure out how that plugs in together. But all in all, I think there were some really phenomenal stories in this volume. The first one is also very good. The Devil's Wings, that's a phenomenal story. I really like that one too. So a lot of really good stuff in here as opposed to the last volume, which I felt was a lot of mediocre stuff. So there's my review. So best stories out of here: Blood and Stone, Exorcist, Exorcism. There you go. Thank you guys for watching this quick little review on B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 8. We'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.